So without further ado, I'd like to welcome Dan Capelli from GE on, and he's going to talk to us about the GE's new version of the Geospring, which was one of the earliest water heaters out there. So Dan, I think you're going to be sharing slides today, and I'll let me stop sharing. Thanks for being here.
I am, and actually I'm going to take out my earbuds for a second. Okay, can you hear me okay?
Yeah, can hear you great.
Okay. I just realized I can't share sound if I've got my earbuds in, so.
Oh yeah. We got an exciting video from GE to listen to, so.
Yeah, maybe.
Dan and I
Hang
did
on,
a practice session
it's still not letting me share the sound. I might just have to talk to the videos. So let me get going here. Oh no, don't you hate that? Okay. Well, without further ado, let me go ahead and get started here. The videos will not have sound, but I can absolutely talk to them and walk you through them. Okay, so I'm really excited to be here today. Again, Dan Capelli, I'm the Director of Product Management here at GE Appliances for our water heating business. I'm here to tell you about the reintroduction of our Geospring heat pump water heater. And we brought this back with more technology, more capabilities, more energy efficiency as well. 4th generation from GE Appliances, and we're really excited about this next product launch. For those of you who remember all of our previous generations, I've got a screenshot here. So there's Gen 1, Gen 2, Gen 3, all the way up to our latest generation, Gen 4, which is going to launch this year. So a quick data point here. Back in the early days, our efficiency was around 2.3. So just keep that in mind as we continue the conversation today. That was our starting point. Next, I'm going to play the video, the soundless video, unfortunately, but it'll give you a flavor for kind of some of the neat things, how we're trying to communicate around the product. We're trying to excite people about this product. And this video is talking about the key pillars for us, right? Heat pump technology, flex capacity, and then the smart HQ side of our business. So we tried to simplify, like everybody is doing, to on the message here, to show how simple these products operate and just how straightforward they are. Ours happens to be 4.7 times more energy efficient than standard electric. This is a shot of the internal mixing valve that we have to help boost up the capacity of the product, where our 50-gallon acts like an 80. Altogether, between that and the technology inside the product and the ability to connect up to our Smart HQ app, this is really our most advanced water heater out there. It sounds a lot better with the music and the voiceover, but bear with me today, okay? All right, so a quick overview of our product. So 4th generation again, versus standard electric water heaters, this product is 4.7 times more energy efficient. You're going to find that is best in class that's out there. Flex capacity. When we talk about flex capacity, that is simply our integrated electronically controlled mixing valve. Our mixing valve will allow this to give up to 60% more water capacity out of the same water heater. I did notice at ACEEE last week that mixing valves were a hot topic there as well. So very excited to have this as part of the product. We've actually had this on the market now for about 6 or 7 years in some of our standard electric products. So it's a proven technology that we've got. Smart HQ. Smart HQ is our app. It's a single-based app that controls GE Appliances as well as GE water heating. So we've kept everything in one spot. We do have some exclusive features on this product. The first one happens to be a wireless leak detection. I've got a slide on that, so I'm not going to spend time on it here. Flexibility and easy installation. So we've got both 120 volt and 240 volt options in our offering. And by the way, our 120 volt product is field convertible. So you can convert that from 120 volt to a 240 volt product. That is a big pain point with plumbers out there, right? Because today, if they put 120 volt in and homeowner's not happy with it, they've got to go back, pull the product out, put a new one in. With ours, it can be field convertible. So it addresses the pain point with plumbers. It also addresses the pain point with consumers too, because now they get better performance out of the product. We've got 5 operating modes, pretty standard in the industry when it comes to all these heat pump water heaters. We are EcoPort certified at this point. We've addressed noise on this product as well. We're coming in at 41 dBA, so very, very quiet. We've even looked at the refrigerant that we're using as well, and we are addressing this with a really low GWP refrigerant. We are actually less than 10 on the GWP scale. So when it comes to these kind of products with a green focus, we've really looked at the complete system. And so we've addressed that even on the refrigerant side. Cold climate performance, whether it's a 240 volt or 120 volt product, we're addressing that. The compressor we're using inside this is a variable speed compressor, so we can ramp this up to compensate for cold climate rooms. Serviceability, just like every previous generation we've had, this latest generation is serviceable, and we've taken our serviceability that we had in the past up another notch. Whereas on the high side and the low side, we've actually got quick and easy access ports for any servicer to address this product. Once again, from our perspective, that is the way to approach these products, because from a green perspective and keeping products out of landfills and having to replace them, being able to service these products is kind of a key thing. Some of the other features we've got a sensing anode rod. It basically tells you when it's time to replace the anode rod for maintenance. It also addresses kind of the extend the life of your water heater, right? And then finally, 10-year warranty, pretty in line with the rest of the industry. Here is our first launch that we're doing. We're going to focus on 40s and 50s at first. We will be following that up with 65 and 80s. You can see here some of our first hour ratings and UEF numbers that we have been seeing. Now, these are not yet listed, but these are the numbers that we are seeing in our testing. So even when it's 120 volts, we've got high UEF numbers, high first hour rating numbers. Most importantly, though, as we get into those 240 models, we have got a killer UEF performance out of this product, where we're coming in and it's up to 4.5 on the UEF scale. So really, really happy with the performance we're getting out of this. Flex capacity. So once again, flex capacity, when we talk about that, that is simply our electron controlled mixing valve that's inside the product, okay? So a little bit about it. This is like a feature that you can turn on or off in the product itself. So there's 3 settings. Normal setting means that the tank temperature matches your set point on your controller. You can put it into high or extra high. When you put this thing up into extra high setting, then we can get up to 60% more water out of the same tank by elevating the tank temperature. So it's great for homeowners who need that extra capacity. And it gives you options too, right? We all talk in this industry about having to upsize. You know, if you've got a 50-gallon electric today, maybe you have to upsize to a 65 or an 80-gallon tank. This gives you options so you don't always have to upsize in capacity. So feedback we've gotten this is fantastic. As a matter of fact, even from the plumbers, this is a fantastic feature, because having this integrated into the product saves a plumber anywhere from 30 minutes up to 60 minutes of installation time. So we're addressing a lot of pain points that are out there with everything that we're putting out today. This can be basically turned on or off or adjusted on the product itself or on our Smart HQ app. Speaking of the app, here's a screenshot of the app, just some of the capabilities of the app and what you would see on the screen. Here's some of the top features that we've actually got on the app in regards to, you know, how it really addresses some of the main things you're going to be looking at on heat pump water heaters. We've got more features than this on our Smart HQ app, but these are just kind of some of the key ones we thought would resonate today during the conversation. Leak detection. So our approach on leak detection is we've got a wireless leak detection built into the product. Okay. So what you can see on the image on the far right there, see the little blue puck that you see in that hand? That is our wireless leak sensor. So basically that pairs up with the water heater via Bluetooth. There's a shutoff valve up on top of the water heater itself. Since this is wireless, it gives you the flexibility to put that sensor, that next to the water heater, or maybe next to the drain in the same room as the water heater, or maybe somewhere else in the same room as the water heater. And by the way, we didn't stop there. You can actually add up to 2 more sensors to this same water heater to put in other locations of your home. So that, let's say it's underneath your kitchen sink, let's say it's under your dishwasher, or in the laundry room. If you had a leak somewhere else, we would shut off the hot supply. And then if you saw a leak, we would also notify you on the app so that you drive that consumer awareness for protection in the home. And with that, our final closing video here that I wish had some sound to it. Like, again, I said, we've got some really cool music on this stuff, but you're going to hear us talk about a couple of themes. The first is pump up your efficiency. The second is flex your capacity, because we've got a killer product here. Our latest generation here just far surpasses anything else that we've done in the previous generation. So once again, we're really excited to bring this to market. There's so much progress going on in the heat pump water heater market today that we're really excited about how this is growing, and just all the other interest from not only us, but the other manufacturers getting back into this space. And with that, that's
Great,
all
Dan,
I've got,
thank you.
Joe.
Yeah, well, let's do a couple of follow-up questions. You were great on time, and then we'll keep moving, and we'll have questions at the end as well. I mean, this is really exciting. I know GE's been hard at work at this for a long time, but some really exciting innovations going on here. I'll try to catch some of the questions in the chat here, and I've got a couple of my own. But one, Gary's just asking for maybe a quick question. Where are the intake and the exhaust ports on this new Geospring?
Yeah, so our intake is from the top and then from the front sides, and then our exhaust goes out the back on our current design that we've got here we're showing.
Okay, great. And I see Craig is answering questions in the chat as well. Thanks, Craig, for that. And Adam's asking about what the refrigerant is. You might not be able to say that, but can you talk a little bit about your process for deciding on the particular refrigerant, which is an amazing lower than 10 GWP? Can you talk about that process?
Yeah, so we focused on an A2L refrigerant for this product. And look, we were looking at this and we were looking forward thinking, okay, as we're seeing all the changes in the movements with refrigerants, with the focus on GWP, how do we set ourselves up so that we put the right refrigerant in here that lasts not only this product life cycle, but maybe the next 2 product life cycles? So that's really, from our perspective, why we focus on such a great low GWP refrigerant that falls into the A2L category. We're really looking forward. And once again, this is such a green product. It only makes sense to put a nice green refrigerant inside this unit. And then, by the way, it's a commonly used refrigerant that's out there that you'll find all over the States. Okay,
great. There's a couple big innovations here. One is this, convertible 120 to 240 volt. I'll just say, AWH has done a lot of work on the 120 heat pump water heater, and to have a combined 120 240, that's a huge deal. Can you talk about, does that affect anything, from the price of the unit? Do you think you'll still be able to make it cost competitive even with this additional feature of this flexible voltage? And talk to us about your process in wanting to put this feature in the unit.
Yeah, so we put this feature into the product because we've been listening, we've been talking to plumbers, we've been hearing pain points around this, right? And one of the pain points was, okay, well, I've got an emergency situation. I've got to change out the a gas water heater and put in an electric water heater. Putting in the heat pump water heater makes sense. But if I don't have the power available, I put in a 120 volt, and then all of a sudden, what if the homeowner's not happy, right? The plumber has to go back out, change it out, pull it out, scrap that unit, put a brand new unit in its place. Well, with this approach, that allows us to, at that some future date, the plumber or electrician could then get the right 240 line run to the product and simply convert it out on site. Okay. And by the way, once you have that power line available, It's literally 3 to 5 minutes to convert this thing over to from 120 to 240 volts. It's a very easy process to do that.
Wow.
And from a performance perspective, so I was showing some numbers earlier. At the 120 volts, our UEF is about a 3.2. When you convert that to a 240, that jumps up to about a 4.2.
Interesting.
And it doesn't stop there also. So the other big benefit is the fact that now you have a product that can work on a 20 amp dedicated circuit. So that is big. So now we've addressed the other pain point, which is maybe older homes that don't have a 30 amp circuit. We've now got a solution for a 20 amp circuit.
Fascinating. Yeah, that's great. Let's see, a couple more, and then we'll turn it over to Austin. The Jim Lutz is wondering, does that elevated tank temperature affect the tank's lifetime?
Well, we've got a 10-year warranty on the product, and so that takes care of the mixing valve, takes care of the tank, whether you're using the feature or not using the feature. So we stand behind the product regardless of that temperature you're using.
And just to reiterate, the consumer with that integrated mixing valve, the consumer can then decide whether to have it on or not. They can decide if they want the extra capacity, maybe a little lower efficiency, but more hot water. That's up to the consumer.
That is, yeah. And there's a couple of ways to do it. You can turn it on or off at the water heater, but let's face it, who goes down and interacts with the water heater? So the other convenient option we've got is on our Smart HQ app, you can actually schedule that feature in. So let's say Monday through Friday, you've got heavy usages in the early mornings, right? Everybody's getting ready for work, whatever else. But let's say your weekend, it's more of an afternoon, early evening. So you can schedule this thing for that feature to turn on Monday through Friday, early in the morning. Maybe on the weekends, you have it turn on later in the day. It's also a good feature for demand response, right? If you're a consumer that watches your utility bills, or let's say you have a time of use plan in place, those integrate very nicely with this product so that you can really optimize and get your energy bills as low as possible. So it's very flexible, which is also why we call it flex capacity. It's very, very versatile. So
That'd be the flex capacitor, and
absolutely.
back to
Maybe that's
the
gonna be my costume next time. Who knows, right?
I love that. All right. Well, thanks so much, Dan. Really appreciate it. You'll be joining us for the Q&A. Thanks for keeping the time and for this exciting product update. So let's question for you all that folks might be really interested in are, when and where are your products? Are these new exciting products going to be available? So why don't we start, Greg? Why don't you start with you, and then we'll go Austin, then Dan.
We're looking at the end of second quarter, first to third quarter, and it'll be through all of our normal distributors across the country that sell wholesale.
Okay, that's great. Thanks so much. Over to you, Austin. You said a little bit in your presentation, but highlight that a little bit.
Yeah, we are taking orders right now. They are available for order. You can get them through Nile Water Heating Systems distribution around the country. So the reps that rep Nile, or if you're Northern California, you'd come to us.
Okay, and the first installations I think you mentioned are the first products being shipped this summer. Is that what you had mentioned?
Yep, the first 9 are going out the door, and then we expect another 10 or so to close before September.
Great, and then over to you, Dan.
Yeah, thank you. So ours should be available commercially here as we hit Q2 as well. So we're getting ready to ramp up and get into production right now. So it's we build, we stock, and then we've got them available. Where you can find them is, we also deal in the wholesale channel, so you can find them there. We've also got other areas that you have access as well, some of our retail partners too.
Great. And folks, feel free, if you want to ask a question to all or one of our panelists, feel free to raise your hand or put your questions in the chat. Jeff is he's talking about I think a little bit at the demand response and being able to talk to us about each of your products with demand response and whether they're able to heat water hotter for times and then coast through those peak loads to make use of lower electric rates. So Austin, why don't we start with you first, and then Dan, then Greg.
Yep, certainly. So we are more than capable of doing that. That could all be done remotely. We could explore it case by case. We're not releasing it right now with the ability to, what I'm trying to say here is that in California, we have time of use from 4 to 9. Load shifting beyond that, sure, we could. But if you want to look at it from a case by case basis, we can do that. We're not, if you wanted CTA 2045, we could put it on there. But from my understanding right now, after listening to these calls for several years, it doesn't appear as though there's much going on with forcing demand response. But we stand ready to, put it on there if needed.
Okay. Dan, over to you.
Yeah, from a GE perspective, we've got options when it comes to demand response. One easy option is we've got a time of use feature built into the app. It's a very simple way to operate it. You simply put in your zip code, select your utility provider, select the plan that you're on, and it downloads directly into the water heater itself. The other option, obviously, we've got the CTA module on our product, so you can have control that way. And there's also direct communication that's available as well through our Smart HQ for utility companies and those sort of things. So we got a variety of options around that. Hopefully everybody kind of picked up on, the importance of the mixing valve that we've got in there, that you could actually load this water heater up to have excess capacity in those off-peak time periods, so that during peak periods, the water heater never even has to turn on to even try to catch up with anything. So.
Great.
I continue to be a little amazed that this question always does come up, because heat pump water heaters only use about 550 watts of power when they run. So load shedding doesn't have a whole lot of impact on the grid when you're turning off the highest efficient product that's in the entire house. And then you take into account the question of everybody wants to load them up. And I'm thinking, let's see, they put mixing valves on them in California, Vermont, and other states. And every contractor that has a mixing valve on it, what does he do? He cranks it all the way up to 140 degrees. So where do you go for load up from there on most of the products that are in this industry? That opportunity, again, is about this big. So yes, can you load control mine? Absolutely. It's CTA 2045, JA 13, but that really shouldn't be the focus of where we go. The focus should still be to get, a few million of these products in American homes, and watch what that does to the grid, because chasing this thing just doesn't always make sense.
That's good cautionary tale there, Greg, especially with those mechanical mixing valves and cranking them up. Gary Klein is bringing up a good point here, just the need for access to maintenance and service, if there is one. I know y'all have been highlighting this, but let's just spend a moment chatting about it. Talk to us about how your product helps assist with this, with a challenge that's been recognized and being able to maintain these in the field. I know you all have said a little bit, but speak a little bit more in depth. How can you maintain your product when there's any sort of problem in the field? And Greg, we'll start with you on this one.
We're open 24/7. We teach contractors to call us even before they go out. We teach them to use our For the Pro app on their phone to be able to get assistance directly from that if they need to watch something before they go through the training material again. But we literally walk them through and provide the parts. So it makes it very easy for us to stay in touch with that plumbing professional.
Great. Yeah, thanks. And let's go to Austin. Let's go to you next.
Yep, certainly. So by decoupling the heat pump from the thermal batteries on our system, we are thereby protecting the heat pump from a lot of errors that occur, scaling and fouling of the condenser within the heat pump. And that way, we have exposed to the open loop side the batteries themselves. That's why we've gone ahead and we've fixed those multi-purpose service valves to each one of the connection points of the batteries, so that you could easily flush the open loop side. The water quality across California, and I'm sure, of course, the rest of the United States, varies from region to region. The maintenance that we would encourage, along with regular maintenance of the heat pump water heater, would be to just flush the open loop side to reduce any risk of scaling or fouling on the open loop side.
Great. Dan.
From a GE side, we've built our product with serviceability in mind, right? Whether you're talking about the refrigerant system or you're talking about, tracking things down from, let's say there is a fault code that happens. We display that on the product. We display that on the app. It's all about that open communication on what it is that you need to service. And similar to what Greg was saying with our products, we've got that capability with that Smart HQ app that we could connect into the product and see and understand what's going on with the unit itself. So we've got all those different capabilities. Even with, and I'm glad Austin brought up the water conditions, right? And that's, none of us can control the water conditions wherever you're at, but we've also got some technology built into our mixing valve so that we prevent buildup on the sealed surfaces inside that mixing valve, because we know that's a pain point with the aftermarket mixing valves out there today.
So as we're closing down our session, talk to us about, and Dan, we'll start with you on this one. We've heard this in various ways throughout each of your great presentations. We're 15 years into the heat pump water heater, heat pump water heater's history, and there have been some pain points, and each of your products is trying to address those pain points. So maybe pick out 2 pain points that your product has responded to. And so Dan, why don't we start with you? What were the top 2 pain points that y'all wanted to address when designing this new Geospring?
Yeah, probably top of the list is got to be the 120 volt convertibility. And look, we know the 120 volt is not, big demand at this point, but it's the next push. So we wanted to make sure that when we came out with our 120 volt, that we had a good experience, right? None of us want those products to give a bad experience to any installer that's out there. So having that option to convert that to 240 is really a key thing, because you avoid those kind of issues if there's a problem with perceived capacity of the 120 volt keeping up with things out there, right? The other thing is the serviceability side. That's probably my top 2, just because service is key of mind. We want to make sure that you put a product in and it stays in the home for a long time, whether it needs work or not need work. So it's probably my top 2.
Great. Austin, how about over to you?
Yep. There was a study done at the PG&E San Ramon lab that exposed that return to primary systems were the most efficient central heat pump water heating systems that you could do for a commercial setting. And also taking a look at the various, how a system COP tanks when you go and include a swing tank, because you're maintaining your recirc losses with electric resistance rather than a heat pump. We wanted to bring a product to market that not only addressed the new construction, but also the existing building stock that is all over the place. What the retrofitting a building with heat pump water heaters, while it's possible, it's quite a pain. We wanted to reduce complexity, decrease install time, and reduce footprint, and that's the inspiration for the product.
Fantastic. And Greg, how about you?
Well, obviously, we had some ground to make up when it comes to our efficiency. Our UEFs were the bottom of the industry at that point, still very respectable. And we leapt ahead of everybody except Dan at GE. He had to pop my bubble at AHR. So, yeah, that's okay. I still tip my hat to you for that, brother. But being able to increase the efficiency, just really was a big jump for us to be able to do that. Also trying to, again, make it available with all of the air exchanges taking place on top. I understand the complexities of not having that in the top and having to twist and turn and bounce air and do things with a rear exhaust system that I've dealt with for many, many years. And as a result of moving things to the top, we've simplified that installation. The electronics as well, making this very simple for a contractor, for a homeowner to be able to navigate, because everything that I've seen with my 15 years of doing this is simple is what sells, and it's what contractors appreciate. If they can't figure it out, we know they don't read books. If they can't figure it out, punching a couple of buttons, they get frustrated. So we think we've really hit the nail on the head with this.
Thanks. That's great. Well, thanks for those great responses. Thank you, all 3 of you, for those fantastic answers. There's a couple other comments in the chat, if y'all could look at those. but we'll have to leave it here because we are coming up on time. Let me just load our slides here for the final couple takeaways, and then we'll let you all go. But yeah, so it's huge thanks to Greg, to Dan, and to Austin for being on today. Check out these products; they're really exciting. We'll send out all slides and recording afterwards. And of course, join us at the advancedwaterheatinginitiative.org. See which working group you'd like to be part of and how you want to get engaged in market transformation. Thanks so much, Greg, Dan, Austin, everybody for being here. We'll catch y'all at the next one.
Thank you, Joe. Thanks, everyone.